Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Double standard applied, it's a good example or exemplification of showing how unjust a person is and how principled a person is. And why? Because it applies a different kind of standards to this circumstance, a different one here based on preferences. And in this case, we have United States and the free world, the good people. And you got Russia and Ukraine. And in the middle, that's the Christian Orthodox Church. Now, I don't know if you're familiar, but the Ukrainian Security Forces, which is, I don't know, secret police, how you want to call it, the security forces, they make sure that the country is safe, keeps it safe. Now, it depends what kind of boundaries this kind of forces have in each country. Like here you would say, let's say, I don't know, NSA, you can have it, you can have FBI, and you can have others that we don't even know exist within those structures. In this case, you have the Ukrainians, the Ukrainian Security Services. They paid some visits to the monasteries and churches in Ukraine of the Russian Orthodox Church, not Ukrainian Orthodox Church, which is the same. It's just the leaders, have one ball instead of having two balls. Let's put it this way. But they're the same dogma, the same thing. It's just they switched it from being really, how should I put it? At work and work in the name and for the benefit of people, for the divinity. I mean, a church is a church. It shouldn't matter if this church is French or is German or is they have the same scriptures that they have to follow. It doesn't say anywhere else that, I'm Ukrainian or I'm this. No, you're just a human being created by the Creator, right? Whomever he might be. In this case, we have the security forces, services of Ukraine going and checking and, entering in and looking around and interviewing, if you want to say that way, instead of interrogating the priests or the monks, whatever they might be. And they find out that some of them are, pro-Russia. Go figure. And they made some arrests. So they arrested monks, priests, whatever, nuns, whatever they found over there that are Russian sympathizers or maybe collaborators. And the problem is I didn't hear any squeak, anything coming from the Western countries protecting, the religious freedom in any country. And they should have opened their mouth at least the moment these guys entered these buildings to verify if these guys are spies or are supporters or are collaborators, which by all means, there's nothing wrong with that. I support that 100% to go and verify, if you have evidence, these guys. And why do I say that? I know that because I know that. And put it there. That's all I can tell you. And if you don't believe me, you can access the internet and I'm pretty sure you can find certain kind of direct information and sources that will tell you that one of the main sources of information in a country is through religious organizations. And I'm not talking about this and that. I'm talking about the church, okay? Or synagogue or temple or mosque or however you want to call it. Why? Because they are under the protection of this kind of thing and they think they're a little bit more protected, but they're not actually. They are the main target. Why? Because I will tell you a story, but a story after I read what's going on here. I'm a little bit outraged that these guys who pretend to uphold this and that don't say anything. Why? Because it's Ukraine and the other ones are Russians. If the Russians would have done the same thing, and I'm pretty sure they do, with but we don't hear about it, with the Ukrainians, maybe they don't, I don't know, then you would hear that. Oh my God, the Russians, look what they do with the Ukrainian church and all that, and Ukrainian Christian Orthodox Church. But it's the other way around, that's fine. It's okay. Remember, what happens to you, to this guy right now, for you guys, if they're over there, and they are, who say, yes, it should be done, yeah. Imagine if that happens to your church. You would be immediately jumping up No. Even though if they might find something, as I'm pretty sure they found here. Okay? You would, oh my God, my church, don't you dare to go over there. Well, that means you're not a just person. Why? Because it's about you now. You became subjective. No, value is value. If you're okay with that happening over there, then you're okay with that happening to you. All right, unless you think you're perfect and there's nothing to see. This article comes from Ukrinform. It's from December 1st, 2022. And it says, Ukrainian Orthodox Church MP priest could be exchanged for Ukrainian soldiers captured by Russia if such an offer were received. So detained Moscow Patriarchate priests could be swapped for Ukrainian POWs. Did you hear? So they arrested some priests. They say UOC. I don't know exactly what it is, but I assume it's a Ukrainian Orthodox Church MP, but I don't know. We'll find out later. So detained Moscow Patriarchate priests could be swapped for Ukrainian POWs. Great. Imagine that would happen, let's say, in United States of America. Do you think that would be okay? Probably, if it doesn't happen to you. This was stated by Andriy Yusov, a spokesman for Ukraine's Defense Intelligence GUR Ukrinform reports referring to agency's press service. At the same time, the official note that the Russians are most interested in exchanging officers and servicemen with specific knowledge and skills, answering the questions of whether collaborators from the Ukrainian Orthodox Church, Moscow Patriarchate, so that was UOCMP. I don't read the article. I usually don't, because it's so obvious what these guys are doing that it's not, oh my God, let me do some research on this one. Sometimes I do, but when it's needed, but here I didn't know what a UOC was. So answering the questions on whether collaborators from Ukrainian Orthodox Church, Moscow Patriarchate, can become part of the exchange fund if they are proven guilty of criminal offenses by court, Andriy Yusov noted, and I'm quoting, Ukraine has shown that it is ready to demonstrate the most creative approach. You know what creative approach is? I will tell you. To returning its citizens home, using the example of the Great Exchange and the fate of Vladimir Putin's major political operative in Ukraine, Viktor Medvedchuk. Ukraine will definitely use every teeniest opportunities that will emerge to this end, formal and informal, public and non-public, open and covered. Yusov said that's exactly what I mean by being becoming inventive, or whatever term he used here, right? Creative. Creative means break the rules or bend the rules if that fits the situation. So then you say, why in the fuck we have rules? Well, for you and I to follow. That's the straight answer. And the other one is, if you get important enough and you get influential enough, then the rules and the laws become creative, if you know what I mean. You can weasel them out. If you're not like, look at Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton had a very creative life. Why? Because instead of being taken and brought in front of some little tribunals for his involvement in illegal bombardment of Yugoslavia in 1999, he is revered all over the place. For instance, that's just an example. Or if you want to look at George W. Bush, so you know, it's another the one with Yale and Harvard schooling. You know what I mean, below 86 IQ anyway. So you look at that with his invasion of Iraq and Afghanistan and all that. Another one who's riding high. And we can go again to Obama and others regarding Libya. So you see, these guys are okay. Their rules are creative in those kind of instances, not in yours and mine. So anyway, it says, according to the GUR Sparks, since the beginning of the full-scale war, 1,286 Ukrainian POWs have been swapped. Very good, very good. So it says here that, as Ukrinform reported earlier, the SBU conducted raids in dioceses, I don't know how you call it, of the probably places of worship of the UAC of Ukrainian Orthodox Church, Moscow's Patriarchate, in various regions of the country. Many clerics were found to have Russian citizenship, having stocks up on pro-Russian literature and millions in cash. Pro-Russian literature. So yeah, free speech cut it off, baby doll. Well, it's a war. It's martial law. What do you want? Well, with the martial law, you can keep it like this forever, and then you can arrest whomever for whatever. Again, creative. A large number of anti-Ukrainian print materials, including propaganda literature, denying the very existence of independent Ukraine, were found at the premises of the Pokaiv Theological Seminary and the Ivano-Frankivsky Diocese. Now, remember, these things could be interpreted however the guy who does the raid feels like. Okay, this is denying this, it's his interpretation, that's subjective. And even if they are, well, do what you need to do. I mean, you have to protect people. Well, that's your first thing. Now, let me tell you my little direct experience. I remember a guy who worked in these kind of situations in Romania. He told me that he was in charge of, how do you call it, following a guy coming from a different country. He was a religious leader. He was coming in communist Romania. And this gentleman, I will name him A. So A said that this guy, when he landed in Bucharest, he was immediately taken into, zip. And the cars were following him, and every 2 hours or 4 hours, I can't remember, they were changing the car, the followers. They would change. And this guy was going to different places as a leader, and they knew this guy was whatever he was. He was a foreigner, obviously, in the communist time. And he said, this person A, said, these priests, the religious channels, the organizations, the Christian organizations, and not only Christians, are the ones that are mostly, under surveillance, because they are the ones that are usually used to collaborate with others. Why? Because they have a lot of contact with people. So that's it's a standard behavior in, defending your country and trying to learn who's who and what's what, and try to unfold any attempts to destabilize the country. So it doesn't surprise me, but this is a covert situation. It's not like this. They all go in and you make, this is what we do. But if they wanted to do it that way, that's their country, that they can do whatever they want. Not really, but I would say so. Anyway, in this case, I'm surprised with no questioning, not even the question about it in the Western mass media, saying, hey, what's going on here? That's a place of worship, those are nothing. But if that would have happened, I don't know, in let's say China, and the Chinese government would do the same thing to, I don't know, some Protestant or Catholic denominations over there in China, then we have a big problem. I don't know if they are allowed, but I think they are. Then will be a big problem. Look at that, they infringe the right of free worship and this and that. But in this case, keep doing what you're doing, guys. Yeah, thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.